Hey there, my name is Lisa Nickel, and welcome to the Sacred and Rooted podcast. On this podcast, we explore a wide range of topics from how to deepen your connection with the divine to how to make your day to day life feel more meaningful and joyful. Through mindset, spirituality, cyclical living, and my personal favorite, meditation, my wish for you is that you live a life you are excited about on a soul level, where you feel grounded, divinely powerful, and most of all, free to be authentically you. I hope you enjoy the show. The music for my podcast is created by my beautiful sister, Sarah Russell. Her contact info is in the show notes. Hello, welcome to the Sacred and Rooted podcast. This is Lisa, your host. Welcome back to those who are back, and welcome to anyone who's new and listening to the podcast for the first time. Today's podcast episode is really a fun one. Important, of course, but also just fun. And it's all about joy. And if you want more joy, if anyone's interested in more joy, and aren't we all, I've got two questions to ask yourself and to reflect on, and so that for you and your life, you can figure out what the next moves are, the best next moves. And so that's what this podcast is about. Super simple and then fun, because why wouldn't you want more joy in your life, really? I don't know anyone who's thinking, oh, I think I'm topped up on joy. It's all like I've got way more than enough joy in my life. So play with me here and think about your life, think about what fits, where you can find some more, and why. Also, why is joy even important? Like, why don't we just all work and slog and you know do what we're supposed to do and then call it a day? Anyways, so no matter where you are in your life, what your life looks like, how many demands you have on your time, how much work you might have, how little work you might have, whatever, loved ones might be sick, loved ones might be struggling, and sometimes it can feel like joy may not even be like appropriate, maybe in some ways. Especially, I hear this a lot from people that have experienced, a death of someone they loved, a death of a friend, anyone where there's a grieving happening, depending on how close you were to the person and all these other sorts of things. People do fall into the trap, I guess, a little bit of, I can't be this happy because this just happened. And I should be feeling, just endlessly sad and overwrought, and as though joy cannot be like the flower in a dark time. I mean, that's joy's magic sometimes, is to remind you of the light when you are in a place where you really are not seeing it much at all. And so no matter what is happening with you in your life and anything, however anything's arranging right now for you, there's always an opportunity for more joy. And I think as humans living kind of like a heart-centered life, we're compassionate, loving people, uh, it should be a priority. More joy needs to be a priority. And I think also we've been fed a little bit of a pile of crap as far as, the hardness of life. And life is hard, for sure. But it maybe sometimes doesn't have to be all hard or only hard, or that's the main, it's the main attraction, say. And so to really, I want to use this podcast as an opportunity for you to reflect and consider the idea and play with the idea of, what would it look like if joy ran your life? Um, what would it look like? And how would that change your life? And I would argue for the better. Um, you might find that some people in your life are annoyed with this idea or you and your new joyfulness, but that is just part of the adventure of life. And so I would not use that as a reason not to try it. So let's just consider that. And in considering that, I have two questions, which hopefully makes it a lot easier to discern, I guess, where you might start. Because we can say joy and think, like, well, what does that even mean? And it can mean anything that lightens your day. Anything that your soul, you're just like, huh, awesome. You are tickled pink, you laugh, you're pleased that it's here, it just makes you feel lighter. It's like almost a reconnecting with your inner child, because it's just like that light, happy feeling where it's just great. And it doesn't need to be, it could be 5 seconds, it could be 3 hours, it could be 25 days, it could be whatever, but it just adds, it reconnects you with that lightheartedness that you have, we all have. But that life sometimes kind of puts a lot of layers over top of, as far as, layers of responsibility, layers of, um, martyrdom, layers of it's just not appropriate, later layers of I should be doing this or I should be doing that. Joy can wait for after. Um, and yeah, I would like to really invite you to play with the idea that joy is first and a bunch of other things can happen as well as, and maybe even they can wait for later, depending on what they are. Obviously, we all need to, pay our bills and get the kids to school or whatever, but there is a lot of joy that can be woven and weaved through those experiences, that maybe we're holding back, I guess. Because as far as myself, the last few years, I've really been um, joyfully, but seriously also. Like the intention is constantly there. And so I'm always trying to um, see how far I can push the joy and the authenticity uh, in any situation that I'm in. For a long, long time, I used to think, work to me, my engineering job was, it's serious business. You want to make sure nobody's gonna, I'm in structural engineering, so you want to make sure that nobody's gonna die because screwed something up. And so there is an element of very serious accuracy that's necessary. But that doesn't mean the entire thing all day long has to just be this drudgery and so I've started bringing into the office, I'll have some flowers sometimes. I'll bring in crystals. I haven't brought in candles yet because I don't think I'd want anyone else to. So I haven't, I have held back there. But just if I'm working from home, what do I set my desk area up with? And I have a lot of different things going on there that I haven't brought them all into the office, but to just have that in mind where it's like there's no limit to if you're you and you're going around and you're working, your mom, your a wife or a best friend or whatever you are, all your roles, your daughter, um, why not bring your whole self to everything? And I have to say that is sort of the shortcut to reconnecting with your joy because it is a huge joy to just bring yourself to the party and to work and to difficult conversations and to celebrations and to all of it, because your presence is your prayer for the future. And I've heard that from somewhere and I don't know who said it to me first, but I've it's been in my mind for months and I love it because It is like our presence is what is going to move the needle on, changing our families, changing our communities and this world for the far better. So, so consider what little step you might want to take in just bringing more of yourself to your whole life. And where you can do it in baby steps. You don't have to just show up and they're like, wow, we had no idea you loved all these things and this is really who you were. But just, baby steps, just something you look at it and it brings a smile to your face and you're like, yep, okay, good. Um, anyway, okay, so back to that sort of went off on a bit of a tangent. But to keep it succinct, or to try to, um, joy the joy questions, the two questions to ask yourself if you want to sort of start somewhere. And if you're finding, like it almost is too big a thing to consider, like, what is joy? How would I even put more in my life? What do you mean? Um, and so, question number one would be, what does your soul want? And if soul is too big a word, even to that seems like a huge thing. Just like what brings you happiness? What makes you laugh? What makes you feel that lightness? Like that little girl, like 7-year-old, whoever, whatever your name is, 7-year-old Lisa, what just was for fun? What did you used to do for fun? Just for the hell of it, just because you liked it, for no goal-oriented reason, no because my mom asked me to thing. It was just because if you had free time, you were doing whatever, XYZ, or doing nothing and just staring at the clouds. And so to get into that mindset of what just lights my little girl up, my inner child. Um, and a lot of times it is what you used to do and enjoy when you were a child, and we sort of get trained out of it a little bit or a lot. And part of living is to come back to that with more wisdom than you had maybe when you were younger, but to really just honor honor that part of you, because that is your joy essence, your little girl. So yeah, what does your soul want? What do you keep hearing, the little whispers in your mind, in your subconscious, in your dreams that pull you towards something? And what is that something? And what what can you do in your life day to day or week to week that kind of brings you closer to that? Uh, and I'm saying do, and some of it is do, and some of it is do nothing, and just be, and that can be extremely joyful. I come from a long life of doing. There was always something I was doing. I did a lot of, um, you know, figure skating and track and field. There was always sort of, competitions to meet. So there was training and, we need to know how to do this by this time and we need to be this good at that. And otherwise, it might not come together for the competition and that kind of thing. And that was a lot of my childhood was spent in that kind of with that background of performance and on and on. Uh, and so and I took and I have a great work ethic, and to maybe my detriment for a long time. There's good and bad to it, but just, the doing got to be quite a lot and too much. And as you age, everyone knows that you kind of fine tune what you can do in the long run, right? Because it's easy to overwork for even 10 years, but if you're going to do it for 20 or 30, I mean, you're bound to burn out a few times, if not more than once, for sure. And then to reassess and see what parts you can tweak, what parts you can do something else with, and or not do again, or not do. So yeah, again, I've spent the last few years reorganizing The office and just, hiring different people. So part of it is like, you know, I can't do all of this, so someone else is going to need to take part of it from me, right? And so who would that be? And so that's been wonderful. And then also just boundaries, because people are always going to ask you for more than you can give. Some people will, not everybody. But the outside world sort of does frequently. And to just be able to distribute it more evenly amongst people is wonderful. And then everyone feels happier at their job because they're not, obviously it doesn't feel good to go to work and have nothing to do either or little to do. And so people feel productive. I feel productive. I don't feel overwhelmed. It works excellently. And so that has made work more joyful. Not to mention my crystals and my little sayings that I have in the office. And one of them one of them that I have on my desk is from, I think it says it's from Buddha, but I've seen online that it's from a whole bunch of different people. So I have no idea who the true originator of it was, but it's the one that goes like happiness isn't the goal, happiness is the path, something like that. I can't even remember. Um, but basically, it's like if you can't figure out how to be happy as you're walking down along the path of your life journey, uh, you're never going to be happy when you get to the wherever you think when you finally made it or whatever you think is once I've got this job, once I've made this amount of money, once I've had these kids, once I've whatever, none of that is going to feel good for more than, a couple minutes or something. And then you're going to think, huh, oh, that didn't resolve the like empty, kind of weird, uncertain feeling I have. And the only reason I know that is because I've been there. and and it's the weirdest feeling. And it's one of those, it's why I kind of started discerning the difference between almost like a manic joy where it's like you get that high because you're like, yes, I finally made it to this thing, or yes, I finally did this thing. But then once you come off of that, you still like you don't have the undercurrent of joy. You just have that one sharp experience of joy, which is beautiful and amazing. But what this podcast is about is more about the undercurrent of joy that you have through your life, no matter what the heck the weather is, no matter what is happening. That's why I started off with saying, it doesn't matter where you are in your life. This is the undercurrent of joy. This is the real, authentic joy that will walk you through the caves, the dark nights of the soul, all of that. And also the highs where you're like, yes, I made it to the top of the freaking mountain. I made it to, whatever goal you have. You've done it. And then it's extra enjoyable because you're already so infused with joy anyways that whether you make it to your goal or not is almost not the point anymore. It's the it's the it's the actual journey that brings you joy, that brings you the richness in your relationship, that brings you, the experiences of magic and amazingness that this life has. And so whether you get to a goal or not is not gonna it's just lovely, but it could be equally as lovely if you didn't. It's all it's not that's not the point. It's just a fun thing to do if that's what you're interested in, right? So back to question one, what does your soul want? So what does your soul want? You can change it to what does, your inner child want, your little girl, whatever. Whatever helps you reconnect with that lightness, that laughter, that feeling of just, your responsibilities are not on your shoulders anymore. You're just that like little kid that's just like here for happiness. And to really see what they're saying. And so to do that, you need to make some time to be still, to get quieter, to really notice because this world has so much distraction in it. It isn't even funny. It is insane. Um, and so to really allow yourself to cultivate that relationship with your soul, with your inner child, so that you understand, like you can hear it. Because honestly, there is so much just blah, blah, blah. Like there's just endless noise, endless talking, endless, influencers all over the freaking social media. Like there's so many distractions. And I think part of the future is for us to be absolutely relentless in our commitment to discern for each of us, for ourselves, what what makes us, what cultivates or contributes to a happy life, and so all of the other stuff, whether your neighbor does it, whether your sister's into this, whether your coworkers are trying that, like you're good. You don't need to get all the way down all the rabbit holes on the internet. You don't need to be influenced by every person who says something to you. And so to really start to tune out and quiet down your life, and at least at different times, regular times, where you can kind of catch some quiet time, some stillness to really reconnect with yourself, just to be like, hey, checking in. How are you feeling? How are you doing? You know, Even if it's once a week and it's just like, how'd last week go? Like, how did you feel through that? What was there? How did it go? Just to start to become aware of what's, on what adds to your life in a positive way and what doesn't. And then to start to see like what can I shift around and what can I change to really just get some improvements and to start feeling like life is fun because it can be fun, but there's so much chaos and change and uncertainty right now that it does feel stressful on a long-term basis, and so I think that's part of the reason why this episode kind of came to me so clearly, was just that we can't um, we can't go all the way down the rabbit hole with all the chaos and uncertainty and shittiness, because the only way that we're going to have really great solutions and ideas to change the world is if we are reconnected and plugged into our joy, because that is where we are feeling the most generous. That is when we feel the most fun or feeling the most, it's like our best self, and so if we are going to, try and get through all of this with everyone on the planet, we need to really feel and come from a place of our own authenticity, our own pleasure, our own joy, so that we're not doing things and making decisions that are going to continue to be like a win-lose scenario. And we get into that mindset and mentality when we are feeling like the world's against us, like we have no way out of this situation. And, it does feel like there's 1,000 things that happen in a week that are just like, wow, what the hell is going on here? Um, and so to counter that and to really, really devotedly walk with joy and pleasure in your heart and in your like energy field, so that when you are meeting people, you don't even maybe sometimes need to say anything. They just catch your vibe. And seriously, it is very noticeable. I've found lately, not even lately, but It's very noticeable, the difference that I see when I am out in the world and I am, um, high on my own supply, if you want to say, or something like that, where you're just like feeling joyful. You're feeling like, okay, whatever is coming next, whatever is currently in my awareness, I am co creating, I am dancing with it, I am making something happen here. Uh, that is a lot more. Like, people come out of the woodwork, but then if I'm having a harder day and I'm sort of just keeping to myself and I'm just trying to get through it and, go to bed basically to, like, reset myself, uh, yeah, there's people, they, you know, there's not the same connection, there's not the same, attraction. So that was a long, long way around, question number 1, what does my soul want? So that is the first thing to check in. You check in with yourself and you ask yourself, like, what do I even want? Because sometimes we don't ask ourselves that very often. And there's things that might come up when you do this regularly that you've been maybe a little bit avoiding over the years because it seems like something hard or it seems like it's too much or like it couldn't be possibly for you. But I'd like you to start considering like the things you may have thought previously were a little too out to lunch or too this or too that. Because the world's flipped upside down right now, and so I feel like that has given me even, um, a little more permission to just be like, "Well, what the hell?" Like, if that's who was ruling the world and that's how this is all set up, like, what's we need to do something totally different, so let's just be here with ourselves and have some fun and relate to each other that way instead of relating to each other like, um, I have to collect all of my I have to win the most toys. I have to collect all of my money and hoard it. I have to stake out my land so that nobody else can possibly use it. And all of these things require, sorry, I'm sitting on a chair that's a little bit creaky. But yeah, just to come at it from a completely different perspective than maybe we've been trained into and socialized to over the last long while. All right. So I wonder, probably at this point, you're wondering, just tell me what the second question is, for God's sakes. Uh, and the second question is just, am I noticing all the beauty I already have in my life? Because joy comes from two bits. Joy is your authentic expression in the world. And so that's why it's like, what does my soul want to do? What does my little girl want to do? And secondarily, it comes from just noticing everything you have in your life already that is adds beauty, adds pleasure, adds laughter, adds compassion, adds connection. All of that stuff is important to notice because sometimes when we get into our ruts, we can easily not notice all of the love and all of the beauty and the nice, just the connection with people that are loved ones. And not notice that and not appreciate it the same way. And so to reconnect with that aspect as well. And gratitude maybe gets used a lot, but it is so important in just starting from a feeling of um, like you're held, like there is good things in your life. You do have whatever it is. I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm just staring at a bouquet of flowers, and um, my partner got them for me last week, and we are not at home right now, and I didn't want to leave them at home because they looked so beautiful. And so I literally took them in the car with me and drove them up to where we are, and it was hilarious because, if I stopped to get gas or something, people would notice and they would just kind of look, do a double take, and then they would start laughing like, "Oh, that's so nice, that's awesome." But at first it was like, "Who's in the, passenger seat with you? Is that like a bouquet of flowers? Is that for real?" And so to notice the things that are in your life already and that bring you joy, and to maybe take them in your road trip with you if you feel called to, whatever brings you joy, right? I just didn't want them to still be looking so good, but they're in the house and no one's there, and so, they felt like it felt like more fun to have them here. Uh, and so yeah, that is the short, you know, 2 questions to start getting you just in a different mindset, in a different purview of how your life is going, where it could go, what do you even want to do with it. Sometimes it feels like there's too many options and too many people telling you like this, no that. And to really just quiet down and give thanks for what you do have and what is currently, making you laugh, bringing you joy, making you feel loved. And then where do you want to go from there? Where do you want to go from here? And really try to tune out the incessant jibber jabber online, and then also just with society. There's always been other things society thinks we should all be doing, and it hardly ever um, is actually the best thing to do, in my opinion, at least. And so there. So those are the two questions. And I also wanted to introduce a new 28-day experience that I've created. And it's called Playing with Joy. And all about, it's all, um, what am I trying to say? I've podcasted it. So it's a private podcast. So it's easy listening. It's less than a minute, sometimes up to 5 minutes a day. But it's just a question, a ponderance, something that's bringing you awareness of a different aspect of joy. And there's like one little, I call them pearl of joy, the nugget of joy kind of thing for the day. It's super short, but it'll give you sort of the thing that you need to consider, reflect on, and whatever, for that day. And to just really, the idea is by having it for 28 days, you are weaving in more joy into your life in a super easy, feels like not much, like it doesn't feel like a lot of pressure as far as, you got to learn this and do that. It really is just smooth and easy. And also, because it is 28 days, it does bring you into kind of a state of a new routine or a new, uh, it is breaking the groundwork for just having this as a regular way of you existing in your life, which I really love. So I will leave the link will be in the bio for that. It's $29 and that's it. It's not there's no membership, there's no nothing. It's just one flat rate and you get that experience. And there's also 4 meditations that go with it that you can listen to as often or as little as you want. It's up to you. And you can also listen to the entire podcast, like like every single one of the 28-day little podcasts, the Pearl of Joy for that day. You can listen to them all. If you want a huge, like, gush of joy infusion in your life, or if you want to just leave it like one every day, which I would recommend, but everybody has their own preference, and so I don't want to keep you from it, that's for sure. Uh, and so yeah, so that is my offering. It is called Playing with Joy. It's 28 days. Each day you get a little, you can directly link it to whatever you listen to podcasts in, so it'll pop up automatically as a new episode. Um, but you'll also get an email just as a reminder, so you can go with the one bit a day flow if well, I would recommend it, but if you want, that's how you'll do it. Uh, and yeah, so check it out. It's fun. It's mostly just fun. It's because how much, if you're thinking about joy, it's not gonna be a real difficult kind of hard thing to learn. It's more of a pleasure to just remember the joy, to remember different ways to connect to it, to remember how do you express joy, how do you receive joy, how how can you really open yourself up to more joy? Because we do have an inherent, I guess it's societal training where it's like, oh, is that too much joy? Is that not appropriate? Is that because we have such an easy way among us of, um, like complaining or commiserating with people. And so this is sort of a way of turning that on its head and thinking about joy more and maybe connecting with people within their joy and your joy, and how much more fun would that be? And then the synchronicity of it is amazing because when you are with people that are uh, doing what they love or in their pleasure or in their joy more so than not, uh, you move in your life differently. And it's just this beautiful thing of influence. We all influence each other in so many subtle ways. And so this is my attempt at moving the needle on the joy portion of, life, and just making that a bigger priority. And it'll give you, it just makes you feel more alive and connected and really in your life instead of just feeling like you're getting through your life or you're moving through something. But the joy really makes the magic, like it's the aliveness that we're all craving and the meaningfulness. Because meaning it doesn't have to come from only, I have this purpose and this is my job and this is what I'm doing. It can be, meaning is so much more than just that. And it can be just a lovely conversation with a lovely friend, a lovely like a family member. It can be moments of connection that way too. Um, and so much more. So anyways, that is my 28-day experience playing with joy. If you are looking for a little bit more joy in your life, if you've listened to this episode and thinking, yeah, I could totally use some more joy in my life, I'll give it a go. The link is in the bio, and yeah, I hope you join. It'll be fun. It's self-paced, so it's up to you. You can do it in 48 days if you want. You can do it in 1 day if you want. Whatever works, and it's there for you forever. So you can reference it whenever you are feeling like you just need another infusion because you need another boost. Anyways, I will leave you at that. The summary for the two questions, if you want more joy in your life, the first thing to do if you want, if the experience isn't maybe your jam just yet, uh, the two questions: what does my soul want? And number two, am I noticing all the beauty that's already in my life? And if you want a third one, you can sign up for Playing with Joy. Link is in the bio. All right, I'll see you next time. Take care.